We do it.
All right, welcome back to Tabletop and Beyond. I'm your host, Justin. I'm here with Jason.
Hey.
We've got an awesome show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the madness that is GenCon event registration and getting to this. One of the reasons we started this podcast, Jason, was we talked about how to, we thought it would be cool to talk about navigating different cons and conventions and how to like prepare for them and how to like get you what you want out of them. And Gen Con always is like at the forefront of like what we're talking about with this, because with over 75,000 people that show up regularly to Gen Con, it gets to be pretty crazy. It gets to be pretty crazy for registering for events and getting what you want and stuff like that. So we're going to talk through what happened with us this last weekend and the process that we went through to find the schedule that we were moderately happy with.
Yeah.
So
as it usually is. As it
usually is. Exactly. Yeah. And then we end up being like loving the weekend, right? Because we keep coming back, obviously. Yeah. So
you just have a good time. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, totally. But of course, Jason, how was your Geek Week?
Oh, dude, I have a lot going on, right? Always with life and kids, but I've made time. I'm going to share my screen here. Share screen. Yes. I know that sharing my screen means everybody can see.
Everybody can see.
Everyone can see. All right, here we go. Did it share?
Here, I'm adding it to
the screen. That's right. There we go. All right. So I worked on my ATST for Star Wars Legion.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. So feeling pretty happy with the way it turned out. I feel like it's got a nice little kind of metal look to it there. Yeah. Right. So my next step, I've got all assembled, glued, cut, paint. I airbrushed the entire thing.
Yeah, that's good.
It's the only way I feel like you can really get like that smooth of a blend on that large of a surface.
Sure.
If you're doing like small little legs and stuff, I feel, I can do that with a paintbrush, but I kept trying to do this side part right here.
Mm-hmm.
And get it to look that like transitionary smooth with a paintbrush, and I just couldn't make it work, man. I could see paintbrush lines no matter how thin I got it, and then if I got it too thin, it was just like you could see the streaks when it would run.
Yeah.
So I just freaking airbrushed it, and it was so much easier.
I mean, for a big panel like that, you need a big brush, right? And like, oftentimes mini painters don't have.
We don't have those.
A brush that's that big. Usually, the biggest we're using is like size 2, maybe.
Yeah.
And so
that's that big. That's a good quality. Like I got plenty of crappy like brushes that
right.
Once like when we did our Bob Ross party, and we all had those big fat brushes, and we were just hitting it across the palette. But I'm going to use that on this thing.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, so my next step is to I'm going to hit it with a I think a black oil wash, just to get everything in the crevices to make it look a little more, because I gave it a little bit of that red to give it a little bit of rusty look, and then when I put the black oil wash on it, I think it's going to be able to really tie that in to make it really look like rust.
So you're going to do black oil wash over all of it and then wipe it off, or you're just going to go for the crevices?
So I'm going to do it over, I'm going to start by doing it over, probably do it over all of it and wipe it off. So the whole thing's going to tone down.
Yeah, and look a little grimy.
Yeah, look a little grimy, which I'm okay with, because I like my stuff, and I did all my snow troopers as grimy as well. And then once I get the oil wash to kind of where I like it, then I'll do the same snow effect I did for the snow troopers, where I do the equal parts of PVA glue, water, and PVA glue, water, white paint, and then I just mix in baking soda until it gets the consistency of snow, and then I just dab it all over. And
Did you find that recipe? Did you find that recipe on YouTube or something?
Yeah, I got on YouTube, and I found a lot of complex recipes, and then I found this one guy who was like, dude, it's just freaking glue, baking soda, water, and paint. And I was like, done.
Yeah.
and I tried it, and it it made like you just keep adding baking soda and adding baking soda, and eventually it actually looks like the top cover of snow, like right after it snows.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's easy, and it's cheap. A box of baking soda is like 97 cents at the
Right.
grocery store. So, and
And
glue
you
is,
don't, yeah, cheap, and you
yeah.
don't need a lot of paint for it either.
No, no. I mean, you could probably get away without painting it, but I just squirted some, white,
Mhm.
like Walmart, like 97 cent or like, $1.25 Apple. What is that? Whatever the stuff's called, Apple something.
Apple crate.
Apple crate. Yeah, I just squirted that
Mhm.
in just to make sure it had a nice white look to it. And it's perfect. But
Nice.
then this guy will be done, and then the last thing I'll have are the speeder bikes, and then my
Oh,
Blizzard
cool.
box set will be complete. So that was my that's what I've been working on this week.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah,
awesome.
fun stuff.
Very good. Very good.
How about you?
I am finishing up. Like I got all the bases printed and primed and initially painted for my bone splitters. The rest of the box that I had, I
Mhm.
finished painting the models just the other day. So I do need to put their war paint on, but that's super fast. And you get to be like real sloppy with it because it's war paint. Like it's like been smeared on their skin,
Yeah.
So these are like my savage or orcs, that kind of like in the jungle with war paint. And so I got
Yeah.
these jungle bases that I printed out that I really like. I gotta paint like some of the plants and flowers on them and some of the ruin, like there's some stone ruins on them. So I just gotta do that and then I'll be done with them, which is good. I just found it's so funny because it's like I finished the war band for Adepticon, and then it's just like because that event was over, I did not have the motivation to just like paint the rest of them.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Been
Because you're like,
there.
well, I already did that, and so I'm just like,
Yep.
but I need to get them done because if I don't do it now, I'll never do it, And so I got them. They're pretty much done. I'm gonna finish them tomorrow, and then I think I'm gonna be moving on to painting my veteran guardsmen. I've got those are like the Death Corps of Krieg
Yeah.
guys, so I'm looking forward to those guys. And they're relatively simple. Like I was looking at them, and they have these big, kind of light blue coats. And I'm gonna paint their blue coats similar to the French uniform blue in World War One. Not the German gray ones that a lot of people do. I wanted to do like a kind of like a it's called horizon blue. And then paint their pants gray and stuff like that. But like me doing that on all these models is going to be super quick because I'll do the outside coat with the airbrush and kind of get that, those transitions like you're talking about. And then, just some of the, oh, are you showing
Yeah. I like
oh,
this is
those,
what this is always what I see and think of when I see the veteran guardsmen from the
yeah,
Genro the Wolf Brigade, which was an awesome anime.
yeah,
If you haven't seen it or not, but
they
I just look.
totally, yeah,
It's all I see when I see those guys.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely,
yeah, but anyway, it's pretty
absolutely,
cool.
yeah.
It's a pretty cool anime if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
It's one that has action. Actually, if you don't like anime but you like live action, there's a Korean film that remade the anime, and it's almost a
Oh,
scene
really?
for scene, yeah, duplicate. Like what was the Watchmen comic?
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah,
they made
like
into the movie.
the movie was a
Yep.
scene for scene, like,
Yep.
equal to the comic book. This is the same to the anime. Like it literally is a scene for scene. Um, and it is, well, almost.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Sure.
close. It's pretty
Yeah.
close. There's some segments that are different, but but man, it's an awesome anime, and it probably doesn't feel like veteran guardsmen, but they're like they're a secret society that are a secret government society military that come in to do cleanup jobs.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and they are brutal when they do. I mean,
Yeah.
they have these huge machine guns with just that just like shred people. But anyways, I'm stealing your geek week, but that's what I think of when you talk about the
The
guardsmen.
veteran guardsman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get them painted because I don't think it's going to take a lot to get them painted and look really good. And I have been toying with my I'm going to see if I can hold it up and see. Here's my Space Marine. the focus is hard with the virtual background.
Yeah.
But anyway, got some Space Marines that I want to get on the table for practice for the Nova Open. And the reason why is the Space Marines are essentially a gatekeeper army. Like you're gonna face them, and so you got to kind of get used to playing them. So I am going to paint. There's a couple of different kind of Space Marines that you can have. There's the intercessors that have like the bolt guns and stuff like that, and then there's your assault intercessors that have like pistols and chainswords, right? And so you can kind of do a combination of them. And so I'm going to be painting like primarily the assault intercessors, a kill team of them that's Space Wolves themed, right? And then the guys with the guns, I'm going to paint them as Imperial Fists because they're known as being like a heavy gun line. So Imperial Fists are like the yellow guys that you see.
Okay, yeah.
So, and the Space Marine or the Space Wolves are kind of like the light blue, gray ones with the yellow and red shoulder pads, right? So, so I'm going to paint those two up like that, and yeah, I'm excited about that. But that's kind of down the road. First things first. I need to do the Veteran Guardsman and probably paint another Warcry band in between then. So, I will say this: my other geek week is that I have felt a little piratey lately. And so I have been playing Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I've thought about jumping back on, but I didn't know if you were playing it or not.
Yeah, dude, you should jump back on with me again soon because, like, I ended up playing with a couple of guys who just kind of randos that I got paired in a crew with, and they showed me all sorts of tricks now. So, like, I'm like a veteran out there, like a worthy
sailing the
sea
seas.
captain. Yeah. So, I remember playing this game Sea of Thieves back in 2018 when it came out or something like that.
Yeah, because Games Pass players had access to the beta when it came out.
Yeah, so it was like 2018, and I remember it's in typical Rare game fashion, like it was very bare bones when it came out. And like there's only a few islands you could visit. There was no like instruction of what to do. You just kind of like, okay, I guess I go just visit islands and kill skeletons, and then you kind of learned along the way of like, oh, this is what gets me sort of experience. But what's interesting is you don't level up in that game. You'll
just get rich.
You just get rich in accommodations that give you access to new cool customizations and stuff like that. But your skill with the sword doesn't increase. It's just your actual skill as a player is what increases.
Yep.
And so you end up getting better, like by actually getting better at the game. So it's kind of interesting, but I've had a lot of fun with it. It's my time killer for a little bit until Diablo comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Diablo's gonna be cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
It's gonna be a time suck.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So my oldest daughter was asking about. She's like, "When does it come out again?" Because
cool.
She and I are gonna play it a bunch. We play co-op D3 a lot.
Nice.
So yeah. So that's a good time. So anyway, but yeah, that's my geek week basically. Pirates and orcs, orc pirates. Interesting. So, all right, let's talk about geek news. I think that you have the first item of business.
Yeah. So I'll just keep sharing my screen here again, right? But so big, interesting news, right? I think a lot of people probably predicted this, but Disney.
I think we predicted it.
Yeah. Oh, from day one. Yeah. Go ahead if you want to prove the screen share real quick.
Totally.
But Disney decided to close Star Wars themed hotel less than 2 years after it opened. I'm telling you, man. I mean, now this is a New York Times article, right? It says that they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars to build this thing.
Oh my gosh!
Right, but Disney's trying to cut $5 billion.
Yeah.
Right now, so even if you've spent, when you're Disney and it's like hundreds of millions of dollars, it's like it's significant. It's money, right? It's money you track. You don't not track that. But if you're trying to cut $5 billion, I mean. It's an order of magnitude more. You're going to look at things that are making money and things that aren't making money. But we have our other guy that's on the podcast with us, Dan. Dan made a good point. He said because Dan is like ultra Star Wars geek.
Ultra Star Wars.
I'm surprised
he didn't go to this.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you guys don't understand. All right, tell you a story about Dan. First time I've known Dan for almost 20 years now. Yeah, almost 20 years. and we've been playing RPGs like since he first moved into the area, and he's been playing before me. But so we were playing a Star Wars RPG once, and the GM at the time um, said, "All right, you guys, whatever it was, we flew into this system, this one random system I'd never heard of before." And so I pulled up Wikipedia, on my phone,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Wikipedia, and I typed the system in just to understand like what this planet is that we're about to go to. So I'm kind of cheating a little because I'm like
Yeah.
metagaming on the side as a player. So Dan's like, oh yeah, that's the system that has a planet on it that has the third moon of that planet had a civil war back in the year blank 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 blank. And I'm like scrolling on Wikipedia, and I'm just like, he is saying everything perfectly off of this thing. And it's like, on this moon, there was a civil war. And during the civil war, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like everything is
Yeah.
perfect. Like has Wikipedia memorized,
Yeah.
right? Like this guy, like, you don't understand it. So when this thing first popped, it was like, well, Dan's going to go to this.
Yeah.
He's gonna. So Dan, he made the comment. He's like, he said, because of the cost of this place, I was almost going to go, but I found out I could take my entire family on a Disney cruise, get 2 extra days, have more fun, and save $1,000
Yeah.
than it would to go for 2 days to this hotel.
Yep.
It's just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand what addressable market they thought they had when they opened this place.
Yeah. The other thing too is it was do you remember the reservations? It was like for a family of 4. And it was like the
Yep.
room you could occupy 4 people in that room. And I'm like, well, what if you have 5 people?
Yeah.
Or 6 people in your room? You know what I mean? You had to get like a whole nother room. There was like a whole
Yeah.
nother $5,000, and it just
$6,000 according to this, but yeah.
Oh yeah. So I kept tabs on some of this stuff before it was even like closing down. And the reviews that people were giving it were terrible. They said that the
Oh, yeah.
food was like not great. The immersive level was like it was second-rate actors basically just kind of playing along in there.
Yep.
The quality of the rooms, like this picture that you have up on the screen here of the bulkheads that they're like working through, is probably the most flattering picture
Yeah.
that they could find,
Yeah.
because I saw other people's like phone cameras and it just looks super cheap. And yeah, you got into the Galaxy's Edge like an hour earlier than everybody else, and you got a guaranteed ride on the big attraction ride that they had in there. But
Yeah.
dude, like for $6,000,
Yeah, dude, you can just pay $40 and get the fast pass.
Right.
You
And
know?
I mean, the thing is too is like you look at this picture that you have up here. Uh there's like technically you were supposed to be wearing like costumes, but people are like, yeah, no thanks. And so like one dude's wearing a Hawaiian shirt,
Yeah. Yeah.
another dude's wearing like shorts and a polo, and so
Yeah.
it's like it's not
Yeah.
immersive when people aren't
Totally.
being immersive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if like I also think that if you had being immersive is not scalable. Do you know what I mean? Like if you want to do like a
That's a
dinner
good point.
theater, like if
Mhm.
you want to do a dinner theater, like 10 guests maximum in that dinner theater, to
Yeah.
be like immersive and everybody participate. When you have a group of like, let's say you have 200 people in this hotel, like people are going to be talking about outside life. They're going to be like, where's my drink at? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be not immersive all the time because people aren't into it all the time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, I've done a few dinner theaters before, and my favorite ones are the really small ones where, it's in a very tight room. You've got a table in the middle. There's usually like it's usually a magic show, really.
Yeah.
And there's like less than 10 of you around this table, and you have a dinner together, and throughout the dinner, like, smoke fills the room, and when the smoke dissipates, there's like a dragon animatronic on the table, like swinging its head around, blowing
Yeah.
like fire, and then there's like knights that fight around the table with you, right? And so everyone's sitting at the table having a great time, eating with your hands,
Yeah.
and it's good stuff, right? I would say there is a way that successfully scales immersion, and that is medieval times or Dolly
Sure.
Parton's Dixie Stampede.
Okay.
Those two things are awesome.
Yeah.
Because I mean it's a night jousting fight in the middle of the arena, but everyone's
Right.
attention, everyone sits in their butts in their seats where they're supposed to be,
Right.
and they look forward, and the audience is lift. They're made to cheer when they're supposed to cheer, and there's stuff in your mouth full of food the whole time, so you can't get up and
Yeah.
do anything. But so there is a possibility of scale, but this is not it, because everyone's free to walk around
Right.
the place the whole time. So you'll turn around one second, there'll be a Twi'lek bartender, right? And then you
Yeah.
turn around, there's some dude in like golf shorts and a polo, like talking about some random thing while he's drinking, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
And it's like, what do you do in the downtime? You know what I mean? How do you maintain that immersion?
yeah.
So,
Sit in your
you
room and
know,
look at the walls, or
right,
I know.
exactly. And really the other thing too is that apparently you could kind of make certain choices that were supposed to
Yeah,
affect like the experience. And everybody I read about, I didn't talk to anybody who had gone here, but everybody I read about said that yeah, that just really wasn't the case. You'd make some choices and the story would move on regardless, and
yeah,
so it just kind of felt empty. I'm sure for a 10-year-old kid it was awesome. You know what I mean? But I don't know that I've got $6,000 to impress my 10-year-old.
yeah. I mean,
You know?
there was so much they could have done with it. Like, look, here, I'll go back to the images here. But look at the rooms. Like, they could have done a lot with it, but I'm with you. I think they struggled with scale
Uh-huh.
and just a failure to execute.
Yeah.
Um, a failure to execute. So that's too bad, but at the same time, like, dude, I was never gonna go for that price.
No, it's
Never.
impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yep.
So, well, fare thee well,
Yep.
Galactic Star Cruiser. Fare thee well.
Yep. There we go.
So,
All right.
yeah.
What other news items we got?
Okay, so the other one, let me pull up my screen here. Um, let's see, right here. Okay, the other one is that Free League Publishing announced that you can now pre-order Tales from the Lone Lands, which is a supplement to the One Ring.
Yep.
Jason, we missed one of our biggest Geek Weeks, which is that we
Oh
finished
yeah.
the starter set of the One Ring on Saturday night. Which was great. John Tross, our good friend here, he finished up the adventures. We all thought that they were a lot of fun, but they were pretty starter adventure-y.
I would
There was
say,
no,
yeah, family friendly,
super family friendly.
very like geared towards probably like you could play this with someone that was less than 12 years old.
Yeah, like we didn't have a lot of. I mean, we had choices on what we could do, but like it was like go find this thing. All
It
right,
was
you
kind
did
of
it. That was
railsy,
your.
yeah.
And you're like, okay, that's
It,
cool.
it
Like
was
we
kind of
found it.
railsy, and there was like 1, 2, 3. There was like 3 or 4 actual like physical and like fighting encounters the whole starter set.
Right. Yeah,
You
which
know?
was like a solid 2 sessions, 2 or 3
Yeah.
sessions.
But
You
but
know?
but it was a lot of just being a hobbit in Hobbitville.
Yeah,
You
totally.
know,
We were
a lot
hobbits,
of fun role play.
and so we had a great time with it because we totally leaned into
Oh,
being
totally. Yeah.
hobbits. So I think that we'll save another podcast for like our full review of the One
Yeah.
Ring and
Yeah.
kind of break it down and what we think about the system. Overall, I like the system. I'm just gonna say that. And I think I prefer like it. I haven't played the Lord of the Rings RPG, which is the One Ring system, but just ported over into the 5e rules. I think I like knowing the 5e rules. I think I like the One Ring system better than if I were to play it in 5e.
Yeah. Well, obviously we'll save it for one review, but one piece of feedback, our friend Lincoln, who's been on the show with us, who's played with us he played this with us, and he had a point. Lincoln likes really swingy stuff. Like, he loves Ross Gray, right? He loves anything that's a D20 system because it's very swingy, right? You can roll the dice, you can get a 2, you can roll the dice, you can get a 19, right?
Right.
And I think he missed a little bit of that swinginess here,
Yeah.
because in this system, like, you either are kind of trained at something and you can do it, or you're not trained and there's absolutely no way you're going to do it, except for
Unless
like
you roll a
one.
12. Yeah,
Yeah,
1
unless
out
you
of
roll
12.
a 12 on a d12.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think he missed that a little bit, but I love playing systems that are not d20 systems, or
Yeah.
that are not D&D based systems because we just get so much 5e stuff, and you get people porting their stuff over to 5e, and we did that. Our first adventure we released, we ported over to 5e because it's very accessible. But I love exploring new ideas of mechanics, and this was a new one, so I liked it.
Absolutely. So we kept talking about how, like, oh man, we would love to play this game not in Hobbiton, not where the training wheels are honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Not in Hobbiton.
and so ta-da, here we are, Tales from the Lone Lands.
Yeah.
What's great about this is they had released a previous expansion that was called the Ruins of Eriador. I believe is what it was called. Here, let me see what it was called. Ruins of the Lost Realm. And it kind of explored ruins and like places you could explore together in Eriador, where the main story takes place. But that was very much just a setting expansion. So just like, settings, maybe some extra monsters, some cool plot hooks that you might be able to incorporate into your game, but not real adventure campaign style. This is that, right? So Tales from the Lone Lands, as it says right here, contains 6 adventures for the One Ring, which is great. And it looks like you can be playing a lot of different groups. So you can see from the artwork that they have here, they've got a hobbit, you got a human or elf, dwarf, you got humans, elves, dwarves, all that kind of stuff. So it looks like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. You know what I think is great about these books that Free League puts out is the artwork that you get in a $37 book. I feel like if you go to like a convention or just try to buy that piece of art by itself, you'd be paying like $20 for a print of that. And here you get like, 50 to 80 pieces of artwork that are of that quality in a book that's only $40.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is just a page, and what this is probably is like a background page where they'll have text on it, or this is probably the inside cover, right? So you just open the front page, and this is like, the kind of the blank cover. But I mean, it just looks so cool, and it gives you a good feeling of the setting. Here's some of the initial artwork, right? Like, I don't know what's going on here, but it looks awesome. And here's some other great stuff. So I'm excited about this. I kind of hope that our friend John gets it so that he can then run some of these other ones. I enjoyed. I thought he did a great job as a GM.
He did a great job. Yeah, and John, buy it so we'll play it.
Buy it, John. Do it.
Come on, do it.
Pre-order it and get. So here's a great thing also about Free League. And this happened when I backed the Walking Dead RPG that they're putting out. I love this about this company. They will, as soon as you pre-order something, if the PDF is available, they will send you the PDF, even if it's still in its beta form, because they want you to go through it. And if you find any errors, you can report it to their forum, and they'll fix all of those errors before they publish it into actual print form. So by the time you get the book, it has been looked over by like literally thousands of eyes. And, I mean, it's like 99.9% error free. Which is amazing because that's not how a lot of books end up in the RPG space.
Yeah. Could you imagine being the person that has to sift through the feedback? It's like, all right, here is the 230th time someone has told me I forgot a semicolon in this one same sentence. Yeah,
exactly.
But I'm sure they're just grateful to get the free editorial feedback. So
I mean, I think it's genius. Like crowdsource that last edit for you, right? And
it is, yeah. And it's interesting because when the digital world started to come out, there was always that fear of somebody's going to take the PDF and they're going to put it on, they're going to put it on the peer-to-peer services, and we're going to lose a ton of money. But I honestly, I don't think companies really are worried about that anymore, especially maybe in this industry. I know Free League's not, because they just hand the PDF out. There's no DRM or anything on it, right? Here you go. And they just want to get their product out there and getting people playing because they believe in their product. They say, if you play this product and you like it, you're going to come back to us and support
100%.
us.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing. And the second thing is that the physical product that Free League is putting out is so good that
So
it's like,
good.
I need this on my shelf.
Yeah.
Like, I literally need this thing on my shelf.
Yeah,
And we
so
were
good.
just talking about the One Ring Core rule book that John had, like how like the feel of it is great. And
Oh,
it's like a
feels
$40
awesome.
book. It's ridiculous. Like, it's
Yeah, it's
so
like
good.
some special type of paper, and it just feels perfect when in your fingers when you're turning the pages. Yeah.
I was in a Facebook group and someone talked about the smell of Free League's paper, and I'm like, that's so true. When you get it, you smell it,
Yeah.
and like I guess a Free League person got on, and they're just like, yeah, we do that on purpose, guys. Like,
Yeah,
we hope
every
you like
book
the
they're
smell
like
of our paper. Every page.
Right. Yeah.
Quality
Good stuff.
control right there, guys.
Yep,
Quality control. So yeah, so that's great. So yeah, if you're interested in the One Ring, I will say this real quick. This is a plug to them. Again, we're not getting anything from Free League Publishing, but we talk about them all the time because we absolutely love their stuff. And so let me see here. The store.
They
I
have
wanted to
shared
show one thing.
they have shared some precursor things
That
with
is
us
true.
in the past. So
Yeah, they have given us review copies of some
Yep.
of this stuff. So, but yeah, we're not taking any kind of sponsorship from
Nope.
them or anything to do this. This One Ring bundle, it's $92.26, and it comes with the One Ring Core Rules book, which is a very great book. Like we were just talking about, like the art's in it's amazing. The feel of the pages are amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
You also get the One Ring starter set, which we played and loved. You get the Lore Master screen and Rivendell compendium. So that comes with some extra information about Rivendell. And then you get all the PDFs that you get automatically after purchase. So while you're waiting for it to ship, you can start reading it. Again, $92 for that bundle is amazing. And then you can just supplement it with the Tales from the Lone Lands, and you are on your way about running a nice campaign in Middle Earth. So highly recommend it. Go check it out for sure.
Yeah, and if you're going to GenCon, hold off because they usually are there in the exhibit hall and they have all their stuff there, so you can avoid having to pay the shipping cost.
That's a great point. And they honor. Well, I'm going to say this. In the past, they have honored store prices, right? So like if it's $46 here, it's $45 there, from what I've noticed, or something like that, right? It's about the same price, if not exactly the same price. And again, you don't have to pay shipping, and they'll take down your email address, or you actually send them an email with the receipt that you got, and they'll immediately send you a PDF.
Yep.
Even if you get it at GenCon, they'll still send you the PDF.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, so the next thing that we want to talk about is, excuse me, right here. Where is it? Where's my thing? Oh, what? I thought I had a thing up for it, but I guess not. Okay. The next thing. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, the Call of Cthulhu starter set is now available again in North America. So we have obviously talked ad nauseum about the Call of Cthulhu starter set. Yes, it still remains, in my opinion, the best deal in tabletop RPG gaming that you can absolutely get. It's $20 to $25 depending on where you get it, and the amount of stuff that you get with it is incredible. It's totally worth the money. You should get it. But they had a run. Chaosium had a run on the starter sets back in January and February. Jason, do you know what was going on around that time?
No, what?
The OGL fiasco.
Oh, why? That's right. Well, I've already put that behind me.
Exactly. But the OGL fiasco created a lot of quote, and I'm using quotes because Chaosium uses the OGL created a lot of Cthulhu curious people, right? That wanted to try out a new system, and so they flocked to the starter set. They sold out like almost immediately, like as soon as that happened. And then they got some more back in February and March, like other shipments, and those sold out almost immediately. And so here we are in May, another set is in, and it's kind of like, get it while you can, folks. Like they're selling like hotcakes. But I can't plug this enough. If you don't have it, if you've never played Cthulhu, even if you have played Cthulhu and you don't have a starter set, get it, because I ran one of the adventures for my work, as kind of like when I changed jobs and it was like a going away party. I decided to like run an RPG for them, and I ran Call of Cthulhu for a bunch of people that had never played an RPG game before. And we used the starter adventure, and it was amazing, and everybody had such a good time. And I had some people in that same group that had played D&D with me before. I ran a D&D game, and they said they preferred it to D&D because they thought it was easier to relate to, because they weren't fantasy people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they found the setting, like 1920s America, much easier to relate to. And but the adventure was just so much fun. So get the starter set while you can. I imagine they'll probably sell out again, but I mean, good on them. I love Chaosium as a company, and I love the starter set. So more people that get it, the more that we'll see hopefully good products from Cthulhu and Chaosium. So good stuff. The last thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about Metal Gear Solid, the board game. I'm going to put this up on the screen here. So Metal Gear Solid.
I put a link to Simon's actual page for it too in our little
perfect
agenda thing if you want to pull that up.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah, cool. You know what? That's probably
there's less sidebar ads. This is the different cars I can see you've been looking at that your computer has.
What's funny is I haven't even been. What cars does it want me to
click
buy?
it? Don't risk it. Oh, that's like a warning for the state.
Uh-oh.
Make sure you buckle your seatbelt.
Maybe
Google knows you haven't been buckling your seatbelt.
Yeah, exactly.
Or speeding. Yeah, Google's monitoring your speed. Now you're going to start getting little ads in the sidebars like, "Be careful, Justin."
Yeah,
there are people out there.
Please don't. All right, let me share the right tab now. I'll put the Simon one up here. Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. So Metal Gear Solid was announced by a gaming company back in I don't remember what the company is. It didn't say in the article, but it was announced back in like 2018 or 2019 that it would be coming out. And after like delay after delay
IDW.
after delay, IDW. Okay, thank you. Yeah, after delay after delay after delay after delay, in 2021 they said, it's not happening, guys. We're not going to be able to put it out. Well, just today, CMON announced that they are taking over the IP for this, and they're taking over the game. Actually, they're keeping the same designer for it, and they will be selling it directly from the CMON website. Now, what I think is interesting about this, Jason, is that CMON's not putting this to a Kickstarter. They're selling it directly from their website, which is kind of a change of their business model, because they are like Kickstarter fiends.
You can still pre-order it.
Yes.
So I wonder if they're what?
I read something that said that the pre-order is critical for their success. So it's almost like their own pseudo Kickstarter, right? Yeah. They're going to need to get so many orders before they actually put it into print. And the game's not expected to ship until May of 2024.
Yeah. So I could see that. I mean, they're getting big enough for like why they don't need to use Kickstarter.
Why give money to Kickstarter?
Yeah. Do the pre-order, and if they get enough pre-orders, and they'll decide to go ahead. If they don't get enough pre-orders, they may decide, actually, never mind, guys.
Yeah. So if you order it, according to the article that I read, if you order it in the pre-order phase here, it's going for about $100. It includes a Metal Gear Rex, which is a fully illustrated 109-page graphic novel illustrated by Kenneth Lowe, bringing each mission of the campaign to life, which is kind of cool. So when you're playing the campaign, you read a comic that sets it up, and then you play the mission that was set up by the comic. So that is a pre-order exclusive.
Yep.
So definitely incentivizes you if you're interested in it. Did you ever play Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation?
I was not a huge fan. I've played it a couple times.
I could never get into it. I don't like those kind of. Ironically, I play Assassin's Creed, but like I felt like this was too sneaky for me and not enough action.
Yeah, I actually played it on the PSP.
Oh, okay.
when I had a PlayStation Portable back in the day, and that was fun.
Yeah.
But there's really really important franchise for Sony
Yeah.
that has a huge fan base. So we'll see how well it does in terms of transitioning to a board game.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting that they were able to resurrect it because it was supposed to be on life support, if not dead. And I guess whatever Simon touches may turn to gold, but I think we'll find out, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So
Cool.
that's all that we have for the news, unless you got anything else, Jason.
Nope. I'm good.
All right. So let's get into our main topic. So something big happened over the weekend, which was GenCon event registration opened up. So we announced, what was it, back in January, that the badges were opening up, and that's when you can get your 4-day badge. But the real event that we look forward to every year is in early May, when the event list comes out, and that's where all of the GMs for board games, RPGs, card games, live action role play, True Dungeons stuff. Like, that's where everybody lists all their events every day of the week, all the times. There's like thousands of events in there that you could do. There's seminars, there's whatever. And like, whenever that list comes out, Jason, I feel like we're kids on Christmas morning, right? Like, oh, look at this thing. Oh, that's amazing. Like, we can play this game, or we can play that game, or like, what game? Like, like, you get a game. Here's a game. Everybody gets a game.
Yeah.
So like, it's pretty awesome. As we were looking at our initial pass through of these events, what were some of the things that stood out that you really wanted to try at Gen Con this year?
Well, the games that I've always really wanted to try have come and gone from Gen Con. Could never get into them. I'll give you an example. Eclipse, the Euro game Eclipse. It doesn't show up at Gen Con anymore. Didn't show up this year either. The original Hero Quest, I actually signed up for that years ago, and now there's the new Hero Quest, right, which you could play, which from what I understand is a pretty just, a new skin on the old game. But the thing that I'm answering your question probably in not the most direct way. But the thing I love about Gen Con is the Gen Con's where I like to try completely new games.
Yeah.
Sometimes games I've never heard of. I don't even try to go for the mainstream anymore, because one of the things we've learned over time, right, is that no matter how fast you try to click that button to get your wish list, you're, person number 4,000 in the queue, and you're never going to get the mainstream games because someone ahead of you got them. So I've given up on trying to get the big ones, and I just go for the games I've never heard of. In fact, a lot of the time, like on the drive to Gen Con, I'm switching my schedule around to find those onesie twosies that I've never heard of before. But there is one game that we found together that I am excited for, and that's the Total Recall RPG, which is based off of the what's it based off of? The
Everyday Hero system.
Everyday Hero system, which is based off of, I think, the modern D20 system.
Yeah.
Initially, so that I'm excited for. In fact, if you let me share my screen again, I didn't join as an admin this time. This is why I'm having to ask Justin's permission every time I
just
share
the way
my
we
screen.
like it.
Yeah, all right. I gotta limit the power here. But Total Recall, right? It's a cinematic adventure. It's actually not coming until August 23.
Oh, cool.
Yep. But it's based off of the Everyday Hero system. So this is supposed to be, a cinematic adventure setup in the world of Total Recall. I am guessing.
Do we need to watch the movie, by the way, before we go? I think I need to refresh myself.
Okay, because you almost lost a ton of geek points for me when you said refresh. I was thinking,
like, I've seen it multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm just like, it's been maybe like 15 years since I've seen it.
So when I was growing up, like, I had a VHS tape that had Predator, Total Recall, and Commando.
Oh, dude,
and that VHS tape, every summer day, it was part of my daily routine. Go outside, play, come home for lunch, stick that VHS in, and then leave the house at 4:00 because I'm sitting there watching all three of those movies back to back, and then hit the rewind while I go out and play again. That was like my summer life when I was growing up.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, okay. So I'm curious to see if this has more of a focus on the 1990. The 1990 was it 1990 the Arnold Schwarzenegger one or 80s? Was it the
It
late?
was in the 80s because I think. Well, I don't know. Now I'm gonna look it up.
I think it might have been right at 1990, but
Yep, 1990. Yep.
yeah, I'm wondering if this one has more of a focus on that description of the Total Recall world or the newer one that had
The 2012 one.
yeah, the 2012. And the 2012 one wasn't bad. It just felt like a different movie. It had a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
and it's
agree.
all based off of the Philip K.
Colin
Dick.
Farrell, right? Was in
Yeah,
that one.
Colin Farrell. It's all based off of the Philip K. Dick book, right? We will remember it for you for wholesale. We'll remember you for wholesale. I don't remember the exact name, but which is a great little short story. And the movies I think are more entertaining than the short story, to be honest. But
which is the same thing with like Electric Dreams, right? And Blade
yeah,
Runner.
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which grabbed the name Blade Runner, which interesting. Blade Runner was chosen by the movie by a completely different. They were actually called something else in the book. I can't remember what. And the guy who was directing the movie said, we need to call this something else that's a little more catchy. What are we going to call him? And he went and found the name Blade Runner from a completely different script movie for something totally unrelated and said, that's what we're going to use, Blade Runner.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm a Philip K. Dick fan,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to play an RPG inside of a Philip K. Dick setting. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so when we started initially looking at what we were going to do, again, there's a lot of excitement. We wanted to. It's funny because we started gravitating towards a lot of free league titles. We wanted to get into Vassin. We wanted to get into Twilight 3000 or Twilight 2000, right? The RPG there. We wanted to get into Dragonbane. I wanted to do a Cthulhu session. Oh, we wanted to get into Blade Runner. The problem is like Free League is blowing up.
Everybody wants Free League right now.
They're like the hot thing. They started to become the hot thing last year at GenCon. I mean, if you went to their table at GenCon last year, like Thomas Herenstam, who was on our podcast, he was like hustling. I mean, he was like, here's a book, here's a book, here's a book, here's a book, here's a book.
And you get a book, and you get a book.
Oh my gosh, he's like in the back, like just like selling stuff, and he's like sweating, and you can just see his supplies totally diminishing. In fact, I think he sold out of almost all of his stuff by Sunday. Which is like I felt incredible.
Bad. I wanted to walk him and be like, hey, remember when we interviewed? But then I saw him working hard, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave that guy alone.
Yeah, I just like gave him a high five. I'm like, hey, here's
you're doing great. Keep it up. You're doing
exactly.
Great. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that we didn't get any Vassins. Which is Vassin is the Scandinavian horror fantasy, which would have been amazing. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah. Totally wanted to be into that one, but that didn't. I mean, that sold out really quick. Twilight 2000. I'm kind of surprised that one sold out because it's not one of their main.
Yeah,
their main ones.
I wonder if it's just because there was just such a limited number of them.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it. And but we did get into the Dragonbane one, which I'm really excited about. That's sort of like, if you listen to our episode with Tomas, he talked about how Dragonbane, the Swedish version of is like the Swedish version of D&D, like because they didn't have D&D in Swedish. When they were there, and so but they had this Dragonbane that somebody wrote, and they got the rights for it and redid it again recently. So I'm excited to play it. It's like the Swedish D&D, and it looks awesome. And they got some new expansions actually the Kickstarter ended for it recently, and it should be coming to shelves here in a couple of months. So we did get into that one. Some other surprises that I didn't see there that I would have sworn should have had some stuff. No Shadow of the Demon Lord at all, which I think is a big miss unfortunately for Robert Schwalb. Like, if you're kind of an indie RPG guy, like I feel like if you and I'm not going to speak for him, but if I were in that position where I'm writing my own RPG and I really like it's my livelihood, I would make sure that it is somehow representative at every major con that I can, right? Like every major con that I can find, because it's just it's just not there. And I think that that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I was trying
Um,
to see if there was anything that we had missed with it, but I don't think so. I think
yeah,
that he is. I mean, Shadow the Demon Lord is now, what is it, like
7 years.
6 or 7 years?
I think it
Yeah,
came out in
and
2016,
yeah,
2015, maybe.
and I think his following, which you could
Yeah,
almost say is a cult following.
it is totally.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
they are tracking his newest projects that he has on the table, which is
Yep.
the Weird Wizard, and also
Yep.
then the new thing that he announced, right? Which, oh
Yeah.
gosh, we should have put that in the news. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but he has a new system that he's coming out that is like a mix of sci-fi and it kind of seems like a multi-god fantasy. It looks
Interesting.
interesting, yeah. But so he's got a couple projects, and I think his followers are tracking those newer
Yeah.
projects. Because even when we did uh, when we hosted the Shadow of the Demon Lord at Gen Con back in, when was that?
2018.
2018. Was it 18 or 19?
It was 18. I didn't go to 19,
Yeah, okay.
unfortunately.
We were the only, I mean, we filled up the whole, I mean, we had Shadow of the Demon Lords Thursday,
Six
Friday,
sessions.
Saturday.
Yeah. 6 sessions
And
between the two of us.
they were full
Yep.
because people wanted to play it, but we were the only people. We were
Yep.
the only people hosting it. So I
Yep.
think it's just a cult following, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I still, though, I kind of feel like if you're an indie guy and your livelihood depends on you
Yeah.
selling products, I mean, I feel like you kind of need to do this. And one thing, I keep talking about Free League, but I feel like I have to. I saw a Facebook post today saying that Free League is going to be at, they call it CharlCon or Charlton Con or something like that. It's like the convention in Charleston, West Virginia. charcon.org. Um, yeah, yeah, dude. It's not that big. It's small. But Free League makes a post saying we're gonna be there as a vendor. Come and like see us. You know what I mean? And it's like they're making a point to getting to even these small conventions where they can get in front of people. Like I think there's only like 10 RPGs being hosted over the entire weekend.
Wow. This seems
You
like
know,
a pretty accessible con for those of us who are in the East Coast.
it's a little far. I mean, it's a little far away for us. It's
West Virginia? Was
Well,
it like,
it's Charleston, West Virginia, which is near Kentucky.
oh,
So it's like 3 hours from Roanoke. It's like 3.5 hours from Pittsburgh south. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
it's 4 hours from Cincinnati, 3 hours from
Oh.
Columbus. And I know this because on their website they tell you exactly how far it is from each of these places.
Do they? Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it's not that big. And it's like $45 for a badge, for an all weekend badge. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? This is like GuildCon
Let's
Plus.
do like Washington, D.C. Dulles Airport. There you go. Yeah, that's true.
So like it's a 5.5 hours.
5.5 hours.
There's just no real direct route, right? That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids are driving to West Virginia. Anyway, my point being is that, Free League's like, give us a convention and we'll be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, we're going to sell. So, anyway, I was surprised to see that. The other surprise for me was that there was no Zweihander RPG and or Blackbird's RPG. And I was like, what is going on here? So I reached out to the creator.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I did. I reached out to him to say, like, dude, like, what happened here?
Like, what gives? I bought your book.
Yeah, so I reached out to the creator, and I want to say what he said, because this was an important thing. When we interviewed him on the show just before he came on, he made an announcement that he was parting ways with Andrews McMeel, which was the publishing company. They decided to shut down their RPG division. And so they weren't going to be selling RPGs anymore, and they own the rights to Zweihander because he sold it to them, right? And so I said, am I seeing this right? There are no Zweihander events at Gen Con. And he says, unfortunately, Andrews McMeel declined to sponsor events this year, which is sad. I will be there, but because I have my new role with University Games in the children's division, I won't be able to run sessions this year. He says, World of Game Design will be, however, World of Game Design needs GMs to run Zweihander this year at GenCon 2023. And here's some of the benefits if you run 24 hours of Zweihander or other games, which is like, you can go to these gaming groups and like you'll get a free hotel room, a badge, invitation to team dinner, some swag, stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people maybe sign up to run this, and we might see a Zweihander or Blackbird's game pop up in the next little bit. I don't think it's going to be very large. I think you'll probably only see 2, maybe 3 games pop up, but I still am going to be on the lookout just in case.
That's that's a lot of jamming. 24 hours.
24 hours, dude. That's 6 sessions over the weekend.
I mean, you basically you're having somebody pay you in probably per diem hotel and your badge to go work a con for a weekend. You're just going to work a con for a weekend. So if you geek out over, I love GMing. I don't think I would be able to GM that much.
That's 6 sessions is a lot.
That's a lot.
This is how I would have to do it. I would do 4 hours on Wednesday. I would do a Wednesday session, right? I do 4 hours on Wednesday, which is one session. I do 2 hours on Thursday, 2 hours on Friday. Or no, I do 1 hour on Wednesday, 2 hours on Thursday. What am I saying? Hours? Sorry, one session on Wednesday.
Okay, I was like, "That's not a lot of hours."
One session on Thursday, one session on Wednesday, 2 sessions on Thursday, one session on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like that's what I would do, so that I could still go game on like Thursday night, maybe, or whatever. Like you'd have a block that you could maybe go to the vendor hall on Thursday, and then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you still would have time to go do stuff. But that's a lot, man. And like mentally, like GMing at a con, like we did pretty good there, GMing at the con, but mentally, it takes its toll. Like
it does. And I think what we decided, it's a great opportunity if you need some help getting a badge, right?
Yeah,
great opportunity.
Totally.
I think that we
that much.
It doesn't to get the badge. It doesn't. It's
no.
I think it's 3 sessions to get a badge. 3 4-hour sessions.
It's 3 4-hour sessions if you charge $4 a ticket.
Right.
Because it's based on the amount of revenue that you bring in for the ticket, which is I think was like $75 or $72 or something like that.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, and so we did the math. Is if you had 6 spots at $4 a piece, you only need to do 3 sessions.
And that was several years ago, so it may be different now. It may be. I haven't looked at it, but I think I walked away from that thinking that was really fun. I met some cool people. I have some friends now that I communicate through social media that I met at that I still stay kind of track and stay in touch with. So really cool. But I also kind of decided, you know what, when I walk away from my job for this huge convention once a year, I just want to go play games.
Right.
I don't want to have to prepare. I want to just go have fun, sit down, play with my buddies. And being a GM is playing a game, but which is why I think if I ever GM'd again, I would just do a session and not worry about the badge. I'm just going to pay for my badge and just have fun with a session. But that's just kind of where I am, I think, with it right now.
Yeah, totally. And part of the reason why like World of Game Design asks you to do 24 hours versus 12, which is what we did to get the badge, is because they're also putting you up in a hotel.
Yeah, you get the hotel,
and they're giving you dinners too. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you're getting paid to work the con. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Which is, and that's a cool option too.
Yeah. So I was disappointed I didn't see any Zweihander. I was disappointed I didn't see any Blackbirds. I had a lot of fun with it last year. There's only a couple of sessions. There was no sessions of Cyberpunk that I saw. There's only a couple sessions of The Witcher that I saw. No role. There's no Warhammer fantasy role play that I saw there. I mean, I could have missed it, but it just seemed like there was a lot of really popular ones. Of course, there's like billions of D&D and Pathfinder and Starfinder and stuff like that. But there's other great ones like the My Little Pony.
Hey,
oh yeah.
I played the card game at one GenCon one year. It was actually It was fun. It was fun.
That's awesome. So yeah, but my point is that like unfortunately, like as time marches on, like you said, there's some games that come that are really popular and then they go and you don't see them again.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to try Rising Sun from Cool Minis or Not, and there was a year where it was impossible to get a game, and then now it's like there's one game and it's like $30 to get in, and I'm
Yep.
like, I don't know that I can justify that. So
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, these are all right. So here I selected role playing games,
yeah,
4,164 role playing games
yeah,
that are at Gen Con, right? And these are all the different role playing game systems.
yeah. There's a lot.
So, oh my gosh, there's so many opportunities to explore new systems. And there are a lot of systems out there in the world to explore, based off of this.
Yeah.
So cool stuff, man.
Yeah,
There's the rack. I'm all
there's a
filled
lot of
up.
good stuff. And yeah,
All
but
sold
just
out.
they sold out. I mean, they sold out. So people
Yep.
are coming to play role playing games, and like this is a place like we talked about. Gen Con is a place where I went previously and tried out games that I had never played before, like Call of Cthulhu. I'd never played
Yeah.
it before and played it. I'm like, I really like that system, even though we didn't have like the best GM that one session. I said I
Yeah.
still think there's a lot there that we could play, that we could do. So I'm looking forward to our Total Recall because it's a new system, and
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have total fun in Total Recall. We're playing a Legend of the Five Rings game at one point, which was the Fantasy Flight version of it, which I had played at a Catacon and had a great time with that. And I'm looking forward to doing it again. We're going to be playing Dragonbane, which I'm excited about. We've got another one. What is it on our first night that is like vampire werewolf kind of
Like
thing?
blood something.
80s. Yeah. It's like an 80s, like,
Blood tooth.
yeah. So
Blood
they said
tooth.
it's like
This is
80s politics and stuff like that. So
a see if
yeah,
we can
so
find it
that's
here.
gonna
But
be
yeah.
that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Oh
Free
yeah, that's the one.
yourselves, the crew, and prevent an international epidemic. Yeah. 1980s adventure, including politics, conspiracy, and a lichen or two. All
And
right.
it's like a 5-hour game, and I'm like, it's on Wednesday night, or I guess it's 4 hours.
Yeah.
4-hour game Wednesday night, and I'm like, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a great time to try something new and just see how it goes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So what were you excited that we did get? You talked about Total Recall.
Yeah. Total Recall. Here's our
We talked
schedule
about
here.
we talked about Dragonbane that we ended up getting.
Yep. So Dragonbane, I'm excited for. Free League. Total Recall, I'm excited for. Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm curious about Pirate Borg.
Oh, that sounded actually kind of cool.
Yeah, let's look that up real quick so we can let's see where my
So that's
tabs are.
based on the Mork Borg RPG, which is also like a free league system, which is based on the Year Zero system.
Yeah. Yeah, what day is that? That's Friday at 1:00. So we can come here and go Friday and start time 1 p.m. There it is. All right. So you and your pirate crewmates must command a small fleet of ships, fight off ghost ships, evade monsters in this naval combat-focused one-shot, rules-light, scurvy-ridden RPG.
Yar!
Works for me. Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah. And then if you look at the, let's see. I don't know if this is. Oh, this is just the guy's thing. But all right, here we go. Pirate Borg. So I mean, it looks like. I think it was a Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a Kickstarter.
It's a free league workshop product, which means it's like an affiliate program.
Yeah, but I
Right.
mean, they've got a nice book and beautiful art in it. And it very like it looks like potentially rules light. Let's see, there we go. There's the character sheet right there, right? So kind of rules light system. Not a lot of complexity in building your character.
I think we're building our character there. That's
Probably.
like one of the things that we're doing.
Yeah. Let me see. Let's come back here. I think there was a better picture of the character sheet somewhere here. But yeah, so I mean, typical. It looks like really really fun quality
Yeah.
quality stuff. It looks like it's going to be a good time. Look, there's ship stats, and we'll see. That's the great thing about Gen Con and a convention. There's no there we go. There's no commitment, right? Just come play, have a good time, try a new system, and if you don't like it, you're not committed.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and these are one of those things where you're like, oh, I love this game. I'm going to get the book right now because
I think this is also like a 14 player.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if this is truly 14 player or if it's going to be one of those where a bunch of people show up and like they get tabled off.
They sort you out. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's also only 2.5 hours.
Right. Yeah, you can't really run a system. You can't really run a game with 14 players in 2.5 hours, no matter how rules light the game is.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that one I'm excited for some fun because the first time that we played I played Battle Stations. I played Battle Stations at Gen Con and the guy comes every Gen Con. He brings his Battle Stations gigantic, which is across like a 14-foot table. Like, the characters are like this big. He makes them out of like the most random, like, toys. And then each room in Battle Stations is like, a foot by a foot. More than that, probably.
Yeah.
And so he fills up this giant table, and then you play Battle Stations in this giant, setting, and it's a fun thing. So maybe this will be another one of those real new fun ones that we pick up and we really like. But that'll be good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm excited for Thursday Nightfall. That's in the afternoon. I'd been eyeing this game on Miniature Market forever. It went on like major sale over the holidays, and I was like this close to buying it because it has some pretty good review on Board Game Geek, and so I am really excited to try it out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's an asymmetrical board game where like some of you will play as knights and some of you play as these demons that are like trying to invade the castle. And the knights have fewer people, but they're usually like have a greater power. But there's like demon hordes that you play. So again, it's asymmetrical. The other way you can play it is that everybody's on a team and you play against the demons that come in, and there's like a generative algorithm that the monsters play by. That you basically don't need an adversary. So
yeah, and this is done by Red Raven Games, which this guy, the guy who owns or started Red Raven Games, he was an artist, and he's an artist that loves play board games, and so he created his own games inside of this art world that he had in his head. So, Empires of the Void. Let's see, does he have? Yeah, Empires of the Void 2. Actually, I've got a bunch of his early games that they don't even sell anymore, which is interesting. But look how many games he's put out. Oh, here we go. Past titles. Let's see if that shows. Yeah, the archive. So City of Iron I have, but I mean, just look at this. Okay. Look at this artwork. It's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
And what's great is that all of his games, because he's doing the artwork, they all have a very like consistent style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, feel to them. And you can even see that they made a second edition. I'm so far behind here and all of this stuff. But okay, let me see. Because if just look at that, right, in terms of art style, then let's come to Nightfall. Right. And you can see the same style of art, right, in his work, right? It's got that very kind of a blendy, like almost like a water or oil paint kind of mixture color feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will be a fun game, I think, to play. His games, I don't think his games have ever been like groundbreaking in mechanics, but they've always been very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
They've always been very and accessible.
Yeah.
I played his games with my kids in terms of the rules and mechanics. So I'm curious to see how this one plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't, in terms of the schedule, I didn't build in a lot of vendor hall time. And I'm wondering if in the morning, so we have 2 tickets to Zombicide Black Plague, which I've always wanted to play. Like
Yep.
we've played Zombicide, right? I've always wanted to play that one.
Yep.
But if there's
Same.
other people that want to play it, we got tickets to Lords of the Waterdeep, which I'm like sure. I think I might switch that to some vendor hall time, and keep my Nightfall. And
You're gonna get rid of Black Plague to go to.
well, somebody else will take Black Plague. You know, I'll
Okay.
just swap tickets with them, and
Yeah.
somebody else can take that, and maybe I'll go to the vendor hall that day.
Well, we've played Zombicide before, so
Yeah.
you know, just recognize that I think this year the vendor hall doesn't open until 10:00.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. So I don't know. I got to figure out some good vendor hall time because I've booked myself solid everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So and but yeah, so let me ask you this: what are you on the schedule? What's the game you're looking forward to most? And then what are you keeping your eyes open for in the future? Do you have any games in mind that you like? I'm waiting for that title to open up, or are you just going to kind of peruse and find something that might look interesting to fill holes or maybe make some replacements, that type of thing?
Yeah, I'm most excited about Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna peruse because I don't want to do mainstream games. I want to find new stuff I've never heard of and give it a try.
Yeah, I hear you. That is the best part about the con. I am like maybe the least excited about Shadowrun on Friday night. Lincoln and I are doing it, and like I did it because we didn't get all of the tickets for Descent that all of us wanted to do, and so I said, hey, this is a good time for we'll go do Shadowrun, which was like the best option on a Friday night. But I'm hoping that other things open up and we can replace that because I'm just not crazy about playing Shadowrun. It's the 6th edition one, but which is supposed to be a little bit more streamlined from what I hear. But I don't know. Like I played the setting and it's okay. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to remember if I have 4th or 5th. I think I have 5th edition, and it got bogged down in mechanics a lot. It was very mechanic heavy. Now the book was awesome.
Yeah.
Right. And if you are a cyberpunk fan and you really think you're a cyberpunk fan, then you must have read or listened to the audiobook of William Gibson's Neuromancer. William Gibson's Neuromancer is like the father book of cyberpunk, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And all of like Shadowrun and all of, the lore that's in those books, it's all can be tied directly back to that book, to Neuromancer. Which is not, they are not, you could say they're spiritual successors to that book, right? Sure. So the Shadowrun books have always had a lot of really cool lore in them, the megacorps and how they've evolved and taken over the world, and high tech, low life of cyberpunk. So that's been really cool, but the mechanics have always been so difficult to play and have fun with, in my opinion. So we'll see. Maybe 6 is better.
Yeah, I honestly, I hope that I find something else, but it was either that or kind of like nothing. I mean, there wasn't a lot of options at that point. And so, because I think Friday night's a very popular time, right? For people to do stuff.
I mean, another option is too, I mean, if somebody gets something in the vendor hall, we can just sit down and play it too.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll probably end up doing that a couple of nights, but I'm keeping my eyes open. I would love to see a Vastin open up. I would love to see, like a Blade Runner or something open up. I'm not holding my breath because I think that they're super popular, but I would like to see like maybe something else opens up. Like I said, somebody might be doing a Zweihander that would open up and I'd be all about that. Right. So there's a couple of holes, or there's a couple spots in my thing. I'm looking at like maybe Thursday morning. If I do Lords of the Waterdeep, like I'm happy to play that game. I've never played it before, but it's a D&D, like it's a D&D game, so I kind of feel like I know the setting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy to play the game. But if something else opens up, I think I'd rather jump on that. Yeah. And Sunday morning we got some interesting games that we're going to be playing that I think will be good. Those are games I never Heat. It's like a racing game.
Didn't you guys jump out of Heat because you found out it was like an 8-hour?
It's an 8-hour tournament. We did. Yeah. So actually, we need to delete that from the list because I had to cancel everybody's tickets because it was like 8-hour game. So I'll be looking for a new game Sunday morning. And we'll play a Stuff of Legends, which sounds interesting, and then Age of Wonders Planetfall, which was a video game kind of
Yep.
made into a board game. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. But I'm pretty excited. You and I are also doing a Warcry tournament,
Yep.
which is like I have a love-hate with the Warcry tournament at GenCon, right? I love playing Warcry,
Yeah.
and I love playing with all the people that show up because they're all a ton of fun to play with, and they're great to just kind of chill and hang with. I love the Warcry community, but I hate that it takes up like 6.5 hours of my day. You
Yeah,
know
and
what I
I've
mean?
actually, just to be honest with you, and we're on the spot here with our viewers, but I am considering dropping from it
Mm,
because Gen Con is a time when I can play a lot of games with a lot of friends.
yep.
And I love, like, when we went to Adepticon, that was so fun, right?
Yeah.
To play with Justin and Dan and Peter and all the other guys that that we interact with on our podcast. A lot of fun. And I that same crew, that whole same crew isn't necessarily at the Gen Con one.
It's true. Yeah,
And
it's more the local kind
yeah,
of Midwestern guys,
it
right?
is, which is cool because it's great to meet new people, right? And the Dayton guy came out too, obviously, because it's really close, right? What's his
Yeah,
name?
Warren.
Yeah, Warren. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Warren. I know people by their gamer
It's
tag
late,
names
Warren. It's
in
10:46
in
p.m.
in Discord, right? And I know them more by their Discord names.
Yeah.
Um, but also, like, the other group that we're with, like, Burton and Lincoln and John,
Yeah.
like, those are the guys we came to the con with, and they're not Warcry guys, and
Yeah.
they want to play some more RPGs, they want to play some board games. Like, I kind of want to explore that with them. So I'm not ready to drop it, but I want to see I want to kind of feel out my friends and see how they're doing with the con.
So how does it make you feel that I had sort of similar feelings, Jason? Does that help you with your decision or make it more difficult or
Makes it, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way. Like my brother's coming to Gen Con for the first
Yeah,
time,
it's your brother,
right?
man.
I know. And I mean,
You
now
can't just
granted,
ditch your brother for a day.
he is going to be with me all day, Wednesday,
That's
Thursday, and
true.
Friday, and then
That's true.
Sunday, right? So like I think he wouldn't be too upset to not hang out with me for 6 hours on Saturday,
He
right?
could be your
Um,
cheerleader.
yeah, well, and he knows Lincoln well too. So like,
He
and he's
does?
planning to hang with,
Oh yeah,
he
yeah,
came out
yeah.
here and spent some time with
Yeah.
Lincoln. So,
Yeah.
for the record, Lincoln is my cousin, like third cousin,
And
and
it's
so
funny how we found that out, right?
yeah,
We were
yeah, it
at
was at
Nova
Nova Open.
Open using
Yeah.
the was it like the family tree app or something that can, like, look to see other people who also have the family tree nearby to see if you're related?
Well, first I saw his name tag because we only knew
Oh,
him as Lincoln, and his
yeah.
name tag had his last name, which was Tidwell, which is my grandma's last name. And there's not a lot of
Not a
Tidwells
lot
in
of
America.
Tidwells. No.
And I'm like, dude, where's your family from? And he's like, well, I grew up in like California. My dad did, but they're like his mom or his dad grew up in like Idaho, like Boise area. I'm like, that's where my grandma grew up. And so then we looked at the family history app, and sure enough, your third
Boom.
cousins. And we had all of our friends around us being like watching this drama unfold, and we're like, dude, we're third cousins. And like the whole like gaming hall's like, what? Like it's pretty crazy. So
Gaming, bringing people together.
yeah. So when my brother came out, he came out and hung out with Lincoln too. I mean, he's obviously third cousins with my brother Burton as well.
Yeah.
So, so I'm not that worried about him, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm going to be playing Warcry in like 3 weeks after this at the
Yeah,
Nova
with
Open.
the Nova Open's gonna be heavy with
Yeah,
that. That's the other
yeah.
thing, right?
So I agree with you. I think Gen Con is a time where you get to play games that you don't normally get to play. And
Right.
so like that time's kind of precious. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I got to
Yeah.
keep my eyes open. Lincoln was having trouble finding anything that was available Saturday because it just there's a
That's
lot.
where and we're kind of getting near the end here, but
Mhm.
this will be the first time Lincoln is actually coming 100% to play,
Right? Because he was
right? Because
working for Mythic
he
before.
has always worked the booth, so he's come to Gen Con a lot, but he's always
Yep.
been working the booth. So the whole day is him working the booth, right? So
Yeah, he would get there at 8 a.m. to start the pre-vendor hall opening because
yeah,
it went from 9 to 5 previously, right? So he'd be there at 8 a.m. And those special people got early access that they could come in and do shopping and stuff like that.
Right.
And I guess other vendors could go around and buy stuff in that 8 to 9 hour, right? So he'd be there at 8 a.m., be there until 5 p.m. when it closed. And then they would usually go get a team dinner because they're hungry, right? And so it's like he couldn't get into like a 6 or 7 o'clock game. And there wasn't a lot being offered at 8 p.m. or later that like he was really that interested in. So they would just play board games back at the hotel, and he loved it. But now he gets to be full-time gamer, and he's like a kid in a candy store with this, man.
Well, this is why I think we need to kind of help him with Saturdays. Like, I can't find anything on Saturday. It's like, dude, there's a lot on Saturday. You just gotta be willing to play something you've never heard of.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I remember when we first started signing up before events went live. Wish list went live. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna play this and this and this. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have so much fun." And you and I are kind of like, "We're never gonna get any of these.
We're never gonna get those." Yeah, we're like, "That's a plan, not the plan."
It's a
right?
plan. Yeah, right. But we got some fun stuff, and as you can see on the schedule that I'm sharing, right? This is just our little Google cheat sheet, right?
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff where we're playing together, right?
Yeah.
We came to the con together, and we're gonna play together, and that's what's gonna be great. We're just gonna have a lot of fun. Right.
And this year's a little different because we opted to stay at the hotel at the convention center. Right?
Is it? No, it's
attached.
Is it the one? It's attached.
Yep.
One of the skybridgey things, right? Yeah. So that, I mean, it's a little more money, but this is the first time. I mean, whenever we first started coming to GenCon, 2012 was the first one I came to.
Yeah.
And we were staying like outside of the Beltway to keep the costs down, right? And it was fine as long as you drove, which we always drove. But you just realized you were going to pay parking when you $20 a day or whatever inside Indianapolis. But
and
your
walk. I mean, you had to walk probably half a mile or something.
Yeah, but I'm probably good to walk because all the fried food you were eating the whole time, anyways. But now it's like this is the first. But the problem is that if you ever bought anything, you had to lug that around with you all day and hope you didn't forget and leave it under the table at one of your events. Right now, this will be interesting. We can, if we want to peruse the vendor hall and buy something, then we can just walk it back to our room.
I feel too that we've got the ability to stay later and play games. And if somebody doesn't want to do that, they can just walk up to the room and go to bed. Like you don't have to wait around for someone to drive you home or wait around like a group of 3 of you waiting for the 4th guy that you need to drive back to the hotel to get in the car with you. I mean, last year we stayed at an Airbnb that was probably like 2 miles away.
I really liked that. Was a great location because it was a walk. You couldn't really go back to it, but some people could. If you just thought, I need to take a break for this day, it was a 20-minute walk back to the Airbnb.
Or a quick scooter ride, as we found out.
Or a quick scooter ride. And there were lots of scooters.
Yeah.
Lots of scooters. Yeah, I remember one year, there were where we had the most. We had 9 of us that came. We had two minivan caravans, I think, to get out there. And one of the guys, he was just beat. And he's like, I'm just going to go back to the hotel. And we were like, well, we have events till like 11 o'clock at night. So he took an Uber. It was like a $50 Uber or something.
Yeah, because it was event pricing and whatever.
And it was his hotel was so far away. So it's a trade-off. We're cramming a lot of guys into a room this time to make it more affordable. But you know what? All we need to do is just sleep and then get up and go back to the con. So we'll see.
Yeah, and look, if somebody's like, dude, I'm out of this game, I'm gonna go take a nap, they can do that.
Go for it.
It's gonna be great, And so I think we're totally looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So
good stuff.
I think it's gonna give us some flexibility that we haven't had in the past, and then we'll be able to say, was it worth it to stay on site?
Yeah.
Or is it worth it to find an Airbnb that's only a couple miles away? Or is it worth it to stay outside of the Beltway? And we can kind of figure that we can give a report afterwards on what we thought. It's
going to be cool.
Yeah. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah. We'd love to know, are any of our listeners or any of you guys going to Gen Con? Jump in our Discord, hit us up, let us know. Are you going? What games are you playing? What events are you looking forward to? We'd love to hear from you guys because, sometimes we'll run into you and just let us know if you're going out, because we'd love to at least give you a high five and fist bump and, catch up with you. One of the greatest things about our podcast is like meeting people. Like we went to Adepticon and we're talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, you're Justin from Tabletop and Beyond." I'm like, "A listener found me?" Like, wow, like they do exist. The listeners are out there somewhere, and so it's always great to meet people that are listening to the show. And every time I've met a listener, I'm like, you're like my new best friend, because they're totally in. Like, if they've been listening to us this long, Jason, they're totally down with what we've been saying. So, our interests align, so
Cool, man.
Anyway, but yeah, we're excited about it, and we'll give you a full report when we get back. So, all right. Well, with that, Jason, I think that's the end of the show today. Do you have any alibis you would like to share with us?
Good show, man. Just like you said, hit us up in the chat so we can connect and play some games.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody, and we will see you all at the tables.